How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to episode 2 of the Retro or Die podcast. I'm your host, Forrest, and this is going to be probably a shorter podcast just because there's really only two topics that I want to address today. One being that the Game Boy turned 30 years old, and I know this is a little bit late because it turned 30, I think, last week, but as you know, this podcast is not weekly, so deal with it. And next is the Alien franchise turning 40, specifically the first film. One of my favorite film franchises and one of my very favorite favorite movies in general, turned 40. So we're going to talk about that today a little bit. What's going on also? The Avengers movie came out. I did not go see it. I actually spent that Friday night at the Bar Arcade in downtown Sacramento, Coin Op. I was there all night playing TMNT, the arcade, with my friends, and I actually posted one picture of the arcade when the night began. The great thing about this is I don't normally go to this bar, especially on a Friday night, just because, as you hear the train in the background, because every Friday this place is packed, and it's packed with not people like this is not like a status thing, but it's packed with your normal bar goers. It's not packed with people that you would see normally playing arcades. That being said, they treat the bar more like a club on Fridays, where you're waiting in line to get in. They look you up and down with a bouncer at the front door for a arcade that has alcohol. To me, that's always been way over out of, I don't even know the words for it. It's just stupid. It's fucking dumb. It's a fucking arcade with alcohol, so it shouldn't be treated like a club. But anyway, the thing was cool because stupid Infinity War was going on. Yes, I said stupid, because I'm not a fan of these Marvel movies. The last Marvel movie I saw was Thor. I know a lot of you are probably getting ready to type down on your keyboard as hard as possible where the keys pop out, saying, "What do you mean? There's so many good Marvel movies. What the fuck?" Let me just break it down. The reason for this is I swore off superhero movies, and the reason why that was is because the very first Thor movie that came out in theaters, I really enjoyed the beginning of it. I thought it was really badass with him fighting on a different planet against all those rock monster guys, and of course Natalie Portman, and then they throw in this love story between Thor and the Natalie Portman's character, and basically became a romantic comedy with Marvel heroes in it. And to me, as soon as you start mixing up my action movies with some sort of romantic comedy, I'm fucking checked out. I'm not into romantic comedies in general, but it's just I'm not there to see a superhero movie for any sort of love story, unless these are real love stories that went on in the comic book and they actually make sense. Not this fucking bullshit where you're trying to just pander to the lowest common denominator of people. So yeah, ever since then I swore off superhero movies. And people are like, ask me if I've seen Spider-Man, I've seen this and that, Captain Marvels and all this other. No, I haven't seen any of it. It makes me look like a weirdo and kind of like a movie snob dickhead. But of course, if you guys know me, you've been around on the channel for a while, or you subscribe to my other channel, VHS or Die, you know that I'm not a movie snob. I love terrible movies, of course, and it's just not for me. Superhero movies, I'm very much over them. Especially how they can fuck them up so bad. That Venom movie, I knew it was going to be bad. The fucking Hellboy movie, I knew it was going to be bad. And I don't want to pay my hard-earned money to go see movies I know are going to be bad. That's the end of the story on that. I don't make money on YouTube to get angry on purpose and make friggin' 40-minute reviews of me like saying, "What the fuck? You fucked it up," kind of stuff. So that's my small mini rant on that. Did not mean for it to take that turn. The Game Boy. So the Game Boy turned 30. If you're watching the video, well, you would have to be watching the video of this because I'm not posting the audio anywhere. So The original Game Boy turned 30 years old. Um, that means it came out, I think, in 1988. I was born in 1988, so that makes me 30. I remember, this is obviously not my original one. I posted something on Twitter not that long ago asking if anyone knew what this Jurassic Park thing was that was around here. And no one could tell, because I can't find any information on it, but people were telling me it's some sort of like add-on thing from Walmart or some name brand company, like off-brand company from years ago that they sold to put on the, but I don't know. I'm still looking for information on that. If you know, go ahead and tweet it to me later or put it in the comment section. But Game Boy turning 30 years old, it was the first handheld I obviously owned, and it is one of the most fond memories I can remember of any handheld that I ever owned. I had the Sega Game Gear, which I loved, of course, but being that the Game Boy was my first one, I have the most memories with it. It was the system that I took on every car ride. It was the system I took to my grandma's. It was the system I traded Pokemon with my brother. It was it was the general system. And when I did get this Game Boy, like one specific memory I can recall where I just had one, I think one of my most nostalgic and best Christmases from childhood was, it was Christmas morning. I forget how old I was. I was either 5 or 6, and my dad had made me a cardboard house. Basically, it was like a freaking air conditioning unit box or something that of that size, and he cut out windows and like a door and stuff like that. And I would bring all my Ninja Turtle like sleeping bags and pillows and stuff inside of there, and I had it out in the living room on Christmas. And because it was Christmas, I woke up extremely early, and I had Super Mario 2, the Six Golden Coins. One of my most nostalgic Game Boy games, for sure. And I sat there all morning and played the game, and I pretty much almost beat it from start to finish because I was probably up at like 3 in the morning. And I also, as I was playing it, I remember taking my VHS copy of We're Back, A Dinosaur Tale, and watching that, I think 2 or 3 times at the same time as I was playing Six Golden Coins. So it's just one of my most nostalgic Christmas memories from childhood. The fact that the Game Boy is still relevant in times today, the Game Boy was one of the longest lasting handheld systems. I had every version all the way up to the Game Boy Advance SP. So I had the Game Boy Color, the Game Boy Pocket, which the Game Boy Pocket was, in fact, it was definitely one of my favorite ones, just because it was super thin, and it was the first time I ever had a Game Boy in my favorite color, black. And my brother had the blood red one. It was really, really cool. And of course the Game Boy Advanced, and then the Game Boy Advance SP. The Game Boy was something that you would be able to still bring to school with you at the time, before, you know, video games were banned from being brought to school, and you could still play with them with your friends at the schoolyard during recess and before school and after school. And that was really prevalent and big when the first Pokemon games came out. Pokemon Red and Blue and Yellow, of course, being one of the most, also like probably the second most nostalgic games from my childhood. But those gave our like schoolyard rivalries like whole new meaning, because you were able to trade Pokemon and battle Pokemon, and that's all we would ever talk about in elementary school. Aside if you were like one of those kids that had the Digimon, Digivice things that could link up, which I didn't have. I always wanted one, but never had one. My favorite Game Boy games I can remember that I played was definitely Mario 6 Golden Coins, Metroid 2. Metroid 2 I played the shit out of. I loved Super Metroid, so when I got Metroid 2, it was really weird, because I think I played Metroid 2 before I played Metroid on NES. I know we had it. It was just for some reason I was always playing on my NES. I was always playing Godzilla and Mario, I think. So, and Zelda. But oh, and then third favorite on Game Boy is The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. Link's Awakening was such a badass and fun game. It's one of those games. It's one of my most sought after Game Boy games that I still don't own today. Sadly, all of my childhood Game Boy stuff and games, I think, were either thrown out or sold in a garage sale. And I'm not going to get into the reasons or whatever the supposed reasons were behind something so stupid like that, because in my opinion, if your kid is saving something because they want to keep it in a box in a garage, and for some reason you feel like it has no meaning to you, you don't fucking throw it away. And that's just me speaking from personal experience. Something I would never do to my kid right now. But I digress. Those are just some of my top games. And then Game Boy Color came out, and that changed the game, of course. Just because, wow, it was like all in color. And holy shit, my black and white Game Boy games, if I press the D-pad now in different directions on the circle on the main Game Boy screen, I can change different colors. It was really funny to do at the time, because you were like, oh look, Pokemon Blue's now Pokemon Green. Stupid crap like that you do as a kid. But like I said, the Game Boy, one of the things that was most irritating about the Game Boy when I was a kid is how many fucking batteries this bastard needed. 4 AA batteries. Now, if you were a kid and around this era, you know the struggle of running out of batteries, because you're always playing the fucking games. Running out of batteries, and then having to do the dreaded asking your parents to give you more batteries, which for me was always hit or miss. It was always like, okay, yeah, you go ahead, but most of the time it was like, no. So you had to resort to other means being like going in your brother's room and maybe switching out the batteries from one of his electronic toys and putting the old dead batteries from your Game Boy in there, or taking matters in your own hands. And they're not going to replace the Game Boy batteries in my Game Boy. Maybe I'll just take their batteries for their remotes for their TV, put my old dead batteries in there, and we'll see who gets the last laugh then. Those kind of things. Hey, you got to do what you got to do to play the games. And I can't tell you how many times, because around this time also, because these Game Boys were not backlit at all. If you were playing in the car and it was nighttime, you're basically fucked. You're sitting in there trying to wait for a light to pass you by on the freeway or on the road for you to be able to see what you're doing so you could save your game. Those were real struggles back in the day. Not to mention the shitty little Game Boy light that came out that you would plug in into the side of the Game Boy right here where the trading USB cable thing was. Yeah, the connector cable. That's how we would trade Pokemon and light your Game Boy. The thing worked barely, and it would drain your batteries even faster. So it's kind of like a trick almost. It's like, do you want to do it? Do you not want to do it? You're going to have to ask for batteries. And the one huge struggle I remember always came down to the original Pokemon games. Pokemon Red specifically, which I would play all the time, where you get really, really far in the game. It's a school night, but you don't want to stop playing. So you're under the covers with your Game Boy Light, playing, catching rare Pokemon, battling people, winning battles that you thought you were going to lose, getting super far in the game, getting to the last or second to last Elite Four member and passing out and falling asleep. To wake up to a blank, dead screen Game Boy where you're snapping it on and off. Your little kid mind is racing saying, oh my god, I didn't save a fucking thing. And realizing that not only are you going to have to ask your parents for for batteries, but you're going to have to replay probably like 3 or 4 hours of game that you're never going to get back. And especially if you had done something big in the game that took you a long ass time to do, boy, were you in for a hell of a ride the next day. So, those are just some of my memories with Game Boy. I still love Game Boy today. I go out and collect Game Boy if I can. One of my most sought after games, like I said, is Link's Awakening, and then of course the Game Boy Color Link's Awakening DX. If I can find those, I'll be happy. Other than that, those are all my stuff, everything I can say about Game Boy. Aside from it being a revolutionary thing at the time, especially because if you had those Tiger handhelds, it kicked the shit out of those, even though I do love that old Jurassic Park Tiger handheld. Now for the second part of the podcast. It was the 40th anniversary of the 1979 classic Alien, Ridley Scott's Alien. Now, this has to be one of my favorite films ever made. And not only is it one of my favorite films, it sparked a film franchise that became my ultimate favorite. Alien is, for some, not a perfect film, but for me, I see no problems with it. It is the ultimate psychological, sci-fi, thrilling terror that you could get out of a alien film, in my opinion. And I'm not saying this because of stuff that I grew up seeing on the internet, well, because there was no internet for me to look at, but from Fangoria magazines or Mad magazines that had any articles having to do with Alien. It's nothing that came down to that. It was literally me remembering as a kid the first time I saw the film and being scared, but also at the same time being very, very interested and just really heavily invested in the story that was going on. Alien is one of those films that I feel like anyone can relate to. And that's what makes it one of the all-time greatest sci-fi horror films of all time, because it is very hard. I mean, really extremely hard to make a horror film and a sci-fi film that people can relate to on every level. People that are not into sci-fi at all, or horror at all, can relate to this film because of how it presents its main characters. Its main characters all seem like real, everyday, average people working jobs that they don't necessarily like, doing things that they don't necessarily want to do, just so they can get home and do what they want to do and be with their family and their friends and just go about living in the way they want to. It was very believable in that sense. And then something that's also very believable happens. The company that these people work for decide to change what they're going to be doing and send them out to a planet that they have no idea why and collect something. That being a hostile alien organism. That in turn grows into the xenomorph and slowly but surely kills off all of the crew except for Sigourney Weaver's character, who in turn becomes the face of the entire franchise and also becomes like embodied as a badass woman character of film. Like Sigourney Weaver in this movie, she's obviously not one of the very first badass women of film, but she's definitely up there, probably in the top 3 in my opinion of badass woman in movies. The xenomorph, fucking terrifying. H.G. Geiger's creations were just something out of nightmare, but extremely original. He did not only Alien, but Species and a bunch of other artwork stuff. If you've ever seen it, or if you've not seen it, I suggest you go look it up. If you have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It is just iconic. It's stuff that I would love to have framed posters of in my house, especially of his original Alien xenomorph works. what else can I say about Alien that hasn't been said a million times? Uh, for me, growing up and watching this, especially with my dad, I mean, there's parts in here that, of course, when I was a kid, went over my head. Like, I didn't understand what a fucking bonus was at work, or why Parker wanted one so bad and kept on hounding his boss or his manager, whatever, Dallas, to have one, his shares. I mean, I don't know. There's just so much that could be said about Alien. I think it's really cool. In recent news, there was a school. In where was this school at? There was a school in New Jersey, Bergen, New Jersey, that did an actual play on the first Alien film. And I saw it on Twitter. I saw pictures of it, and I saw video stills of it. I was like, wow. Like, holy shit. Like, this shit didn't happen when I was in school. If you wanted to bring up a fucking rated R movie to do as a play at the school, I guarantee you that the teacher would have said, like, hell no. Are you smoking weed? No. Yeah, you're not going to do this. We're going to have parents complaining. Parents are going to boycott this and do that. But holy shit, like, some teacher was cool enough to let these kids perform Alien as a school play, and it looked fucking incredible. So incredible, in fact, that it went viral on the internet, and Sigourney Weaver herself showed up for a showing of that fucking play. I would have lost my fucking mind if I was one of those kids. It's got to be one of the coolest stories just in pop culture to happen this year. So, I couldn't imagine being one of those kids, being so much in love with that film, to get approved to get a play done, perform it in front of your school, thinking that that's going to be the end of it. You're going to have something cool to look back on after college or whatever, and that's it. But no, it goes viral on the internet, and then you get to meet fucking Sigourney Weaver, and she watches your play. To me, that's just fucking incredible. Like, I would shit my pants. That's awesome. So, I mean, Alien is an iconic film. It's something I take very serious as a fan. I probably take Alien as serious. If you don't understand how serious I take Alien. If you don't understand, imagine like the most hardcore Star Wars fans. That's me with Aliens. That's me with the timelines, which on streams I've drunkenly talked about for hours and hours and hours. How much I love the sequel, Aliens, James Cameron. Alien 3, while it was not good, I like the fact that it took advantage of original ideas. Alien Resurrection, I actually prefer over Alien 3, which is really weird. I would have never thought I would say that, but after all of the times of me rewatching Alien 3, the director's cut, and Alien Resurrection, the director's cut, and playing them both against each other numerous times, I actually prefer Alien Resurrection just for the fact that it actually continues the story. It pushes the story forward instead of setting it back and just trying to rehash everything over again like it did in the first Alien film, but do it way worse. The Alien vs. Predator series, at least the first one got some ideas right, but everything else got fucking wrong. 98% of that movie fucking sucked and was wrong. There was about 2% of that they borrowed from the comic book that was actually representative of the title that it was trying to portray. Alien vs. Predator Requiem was a shit show of a movie. And Prometheus, the first time I saw Prometheus, I remember leaving the theater not disappointed, but really confused because it made more questions about the franchise and about the timeline than answered anything. Now, since going back and owning it on Blu-ray and rewatching it over and over, like, I have a newfound appreciation for Prometheus. Prometheus would be, right after Alien Resurrection for me. So my list would go Alien, Aliens, Alien Resurrection, Prometheus, Alien 3, and then last would be fucking Alien vs. Predator, Alien vs. Predator Requiem, and Alien Covenant, which, if you don't know, I fucking hated Alien Covenant. I do not suggest... I don't know how Alien Covenant was fucking even made. I really don't. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you want to see how I really feel about Alien Covenant, there will be a link down in the description box. You can click it anytime down here. Down there. Look at it. That is my movie review for Alien Covenant. And I will get into great detail about why I fucking hated that movie. So, yeah, that's my list of Alien movies. I'm actually really happy that now that Disney has acquired... I wasn't happy that Disney acquired Fox to get the rights of Aliens. But I am happy that they fucking canned whatever Alien movie was going to come out, because Alien Covenant really was a gigantic piece of shit. I cannot express it enough. So, yeah, guys. I know this was a shorter podcast today, but it was, you know, these are why these podcasts exist. It's just for me to get out there, get you guys some content, and let you know what my thoughts are on certain things. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you on the next podcast. Have a good week.